On a stormy night, a strange boy runs into an old wooden pavilion to escape the rain. But the name he speaks leaves the elderly woman stunned. A secret hidden for many years begins to surface bit by bit. Who is this boy, and how is he connected to her past? And how will the story end? The rain kept pouring down. Drops drummed against the tin roof in a steady rhythm. The smell of wet earth filled the air. Wind blew hard, soaking the boy's clothes and making him shiver. He ran into the old wooden pavilion. Both hands wrapped tightly around his chest. His eyes widened when he saw an elderly woman sitting in the corner. A dim bulb cast a dull glow, making the place feel heavy. The elderly woman looked at the boy with curiosity. She asked softly but clearly, where he had come from, and why he was alone in such heavy rain. The boy panted for breath, his voice trembling as if he might cry. He said he was looking for his mother, because she had promised to come back for him after working far away. The woman froze. Her eyes flickered. One hand gripped her walking stick tightly. The name the boy spoke made her jolt. In her ears, the sound of rain seemed to vanish. Painful memories surged up. Her daughter had died years ago, in an accident she could never forget. The boy lifted his face toward the elderly woman. Tears mixed with rain on his cheeks. He told her his mother had once spoken of a house with a light, where kind people helped lost children. The woman took a deep breath. Her heart pounded so loudly she could almost hear it. She slowly reached out and touched the boy's shoulder. The cold from his body made her hand tremble. Wind howled through the window. The smell of old wood mingled with the scent of rain. She swallowed hard. Some truth was about to be revealed. The boy's eyes held both hope and fear. He called his mother's name again. That sound brought tears to the old woman's eyes. The woman's fingers tightened on the boy's shoulder as if to anchor herself to reality. Rain hammered the roof again, harder now, but inside the pavilion it felt strangely silent. Every second stretched like an hour. She searched his face, the thin cheeks, the wet hair stuck to his forehead, the way his small hands shook, looking for some trace of her daughter. Tell me again, she whispered, her voice breaking. What is your mother's name? The boy's lips trembled. He spoke the name clearly, syllable by syllable, the same name she had once sung in lullabies. The sound of it struck her like thunder. Her heart seemed to stop. She drew back, almost stumbling, the wooden floor creaking under her feet. Memories flooded her. Her daughter laughing under this very roof, her daughter leaving with a promise to return, her daughter's funeral when the coffin was too light for all the love it carried. The world had told her the girl was gone forever, and yet here stood a boy speaking her daughter's name as if it belonged to him. The boy watched her in confusion. His eyes were large and dark, reflecting the flickering light of the single bulb. I was told, he said softly, that my mother used to come here. She said if I was lost, I should find the old house with the wooden roof. She said someone here would know me. The woman's knees weakened. She lowered herself onto the bench beside him, every joint trembling. Her fingers brushed a pendant hanging from the boy's neck. It was a tiny silver bird with wings spread, exactly like the one she had given her daughter on her 16th birthday. Her breath caught. The pendant was scratched and dulled by time but unmistakable. She reached out, but stopped short of touching it, afraid the moment would dissolve like mist. Where did you get this? She asked. My mother, the boy replied. She told me never to lose it. She said it belonged to someone who once saved her life. Lightning flashed outside, throwing long shadows across the wooden walls. The woman closed her eyes. Her daughter had been pregnant when she left. No one had known, not even her. She remembered the arguments, the slammed door, the endless waiting. Could this child be? The boy leaned closer. Do you know my mother? He asked. She said you were kind. She said you would keep me safe. The woman opened her eyes. They were wet and glistening like the rain-slicked earth outside. She wanted to speak but her voice cracked. The truth rose in her throat, heavy and unstoppable. Another gust of wind rattled the shutters. The smell of damp wood and wet clothes filled the air. The boy's teeth chattered. He hugged himself tightly. Without thinking, she wrapped her shawl around his shoulders. It smelled of smoke and jasmine, the scent of the home he had never known. You are cold, she murmured. Sit closer. He obeyed, pressing against her side. His warmth, faint as it was, seeped into her bones. Silence settled again, deeper now. Rainwater dripped from the boy's hair onto the wooden floor, each drop a tiny echo. She remembered rocking her daughter to sleep, remembered braiding her hair, remembered the day she walked away. All those memories blurred until only one thought remained. If this boy was her daughter's child, Then he was the last piece of her she would ever have. Tell me, she said softly, how old are you? 8, he answered. My birthday was last week. Mother said she would come, but she did not. 8 years. Exactly 8 years since her daughter left. The timeline fit like a lock to a key. Her hands shook as she cupped his face. The boy looked up at her, eyes wide, and for a heartbeat she saw her daughter's gaze staring back. Same dark irises, same tilt of the lashes, same faint scar above the brow from whence she fell as a child. Tears spilled down the woman's cheeks. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky like distant drums. She could not hold the truth any longer. I knew your mother, she whispered. I loved her more than anything. She stopped, swallowing hard. She was my child. The boy blinked. His small mouth opened, but no words came. Rain beat against the roof, steady and relentless, like 1,000 hands clapping. He shivered once, then pressed himself closer to her side, seeking warmth not just from her shawl but from her presence. She said you would help me, he murmured at last. She said if she could not come back, you would. The woman drew him into her arms fully now, holding him as tightly as she once held his mother. Her tears fell into his wet hair. The scent of rain mixed with the salt of grief and something else, something like hope, faint but growing. Lightning flared again, illuminating their faces. The boy's eyes were closed. For the first time that night, he seemed calm, as if the storm outside could no longer touch him. The woman looked past the open doorway at the sheets of rain and the dark road beyond. A new weight and a new purpose settled on her shoulders. She could not undo the past, but she could hold this child's future in her hands. Somewhere in the distance, a temple bell rang, low and deep. It felt like an answer to an unspoken prayer. She smoothed the boy's wet hair back from his forehead. You are safe now, she said, voice steady despite her trembling. No one will take you away again. The boy opened his eyes. There was a glimmer of something bright in them, not just tears but a spark of belief. He whispered, then I am home. She nodded, though her heart ached. You are home, she said. Outside, the rain began to soften, turning from a roar to a gentle patter. The smell of fresh earth rose stronger, cleaner, as if the world itself had taken a deep breath. In the dim light of the old pavilion, the woman and the boy sat together, wrapped in the same shawl, bound by blood and loss in the fragile thread of a new beginning. Morning light crept through the cracks of the old wooden walls. The rain had stopped sometime before dawn. A thin mist rose from the earth, carrying the smell of wet leaves and jasmine. The boy stirred beneath the shawl. He opened his eyes to see the old woman watching him with a quiet tenderness. For a moment he seemed unsure if the night's events had been a dream. She smiled faintly, a smile lined with years of sorrow but also with a new softness. I made rice porridge, she said. You must be hungry. He nodded shyly. His small hands wrapped around the warm bowl she offered. Steam rose in thin ribbons, curling in the cool morning air. While he ate, she walked to the doorway and looked out at the narrow road. It wound past rice fields now washed clean by the storm. Birdsong returned to the trees. Everything felt changed, yet somehow familiar. She thought of her daughter, her laughter, her mistakes, her courage. She thought of how grief had built walls around her life, and how a single knock at the door had brought them tumbling down. Her daughter was gone, but her grandson was here. The world had given her a second chance. The boy came to stand beside her. His hand slid into hers, small and hesitant. I can help you here, he said quietly. Mother told me you had a garden. She knelt to face him. You do not have to do anything, she whispered. You are safe now. But his eyes held a determination that made her heart swell. He wanted to belong, to build something new. Sunlight broke through the clouds, casting a golden path across the wet ground. For the first time in years she felt its warmth on her face not as an ache but as a promise. She led him out into the yard. Mist clung to the grass. In the distance, a temple bell rang again, softer now, like a blessing. This was your mother's favorite place, she said, pointing to a small patch of soil near the mango tree. She planted flowers here when she was your age. The boy crouched down, touching the damp earth. A tiny green shoot was breaking through, stubborn and alive after the storm. He looked up at her. Can we take care of it together? She nodded, tears bright in her eyes but no longer heavy. Yes, she said, together. They stood there hand in hand, the old woman and the boy, framed by sunlight and the scent of wet earth.
เขาไม่ตอบทัน
Behind
ที
them the old
แค่
pavilion
กลื
no
นน้ำลาย
longer
ฝ่า
felt
มือ
empty
ชื้น
but
เหงื่อ
full of
ภา
memories,
พเมื่อ
of
วานยัง
grief,
ซ้อน
of
ทับ
hope.
อยู่ในหัว
The wind lifted
เสีย
her
งตะ
shawl
โกน
and
เสีย
wrapped
ง
it
ล้ม
around
เสีย
them
งผู้
both,
คน
a
ถอน
single
หาย
piece
ใจ
of cloth for 2
ฉัน
lives
รี
now
บเกิน
bound.
ไป
In the
เขา
quiet
มื
of
อ
the
ช้า
morning,
ตาม
with the
ฝ่า
storm
ของครับ
finally
ฉัน
gone,
กล่อ
she
บท
whispered
คำบร
the
รยาย
words
บ
she
วก
had
ค
been
ำแซม
afraid
บ
to
วก
speak
แพ
for
ทฉัน
years.
ฟังทุกค
You are my
ำ
family.
แสงแด
The
ด
boy
ที่ลอด
leaned into
ผ่าน
her
หน้าต่าง
side,
เริ่ม
smiling for the first
เด็ก
time.
ฝุ่นลอยอยู่ในอากาศ
Then I am
เหมื
not
อนหม
lost
อกบรร
anymore,
ยาย
he
เรื่อง
said.
เล่าลึกลับ
And
จาก
as the
นอกห
temple
น้า
bell
ต่าง
echoed
ดัง
one
ระงม
last time across
บร
the
รยากาศ
field,
เหมือน
they
หยุด
began
นิ่
to
ง
walk
คำบร
back
ร
toward
ยา
the
ย
house,
เดส
two
พยัก
shadows
หน้า
stretching
เบา
together
สาย
in the
ฝ
new
น
light
ถ้า
of
รู้
day,
จุด
a
เด็ก
ray of
ชาย
hope
ไร้
at
บ้าน
last
เดิ
made
น
real.
เข้ามาขอหน่อย